If you truly love Jesus, then subscribe to the channel and show proof of your goodness through your actions. Folded hands, red heart. This morning, before the noise of the world grows loud and before the weight of responsibilities settles on your shoulders, pause and recognize a holy truth: God's hand is shaping you today. Not yesterday only, not someday in the distant future, but right now, in this very moment. As the sun rises, it does not rise by accident, and neither do you wake without purpose. The same God who painted the sky with light has been awake, attentive, and deeply involved in every detail of your life. Long before you opened your eyes this morning, His thoughts were already toward you, filled with love, intention, and care. Jesus stands near, not as a distant observer, but as a gentle guide, patiently working within you, shaping your heart, your mind, and your path. You may not feel strong today. You may not feel ready, confident, or full of faith. But God does not wait for you to be perfect before He begins His work. He shapes you in your weakness, not just in your victories. Just as a potter does not discard the clay because it is soft or unformed, God does not turn away from you because you are still growing. The clay must be pliable for the potter's hands to shape it, and your willingness to trust, even when you do not understand, is what allows God's hand to move freely in your life. Every emotion you carry this morning, whether hope, fear, joy, or uncertainty, is known to Him. Nothing about you is hidden from His sight, and nothing about your situation is too small or too broken for His touch. Think about the path you have walked to reach this day, the prayers you whispered in the dark, the tears you shed when no one was watching, the moments you questioned why things had to be so hard. None of it has been wasted. God's hand has been shaping you through every season, through the joy that made you smile and the pain that made you stronger. Jesus understands your struggles deeply because He Himself walked a road of suffering, rejection, and sacrifice. He knows what it means to feel weary, misunderstood, and burdened. And because of that, His shaping is never harsh or careless. It is loving, precise, and full of mercy. Today, God may be shaping your patience. Perhaps you are waiting for answers that have not yet come, doors that have not yet opened, or healing that seems delayed. Waiting can feel painful, but in God's hands, waiting becomes a tool of transformation. In the waiting, He teaches you to trust Him more than your own timing. He teaches you to lean on His promises rather than your emotions. And even when you feel still, God is actively working beneath the surface, strengthening your faith in ways you may not notice yet. What feels like silence is often the space where God is shaping you most deeply. God may also be shaping your character today. He is teaching you how to respond with grace instead of anger, with kindness instead of bitterness, with forgiveness instead of resentment. These lessons are not always easy, and sometimes they come through situations that test your limits. But Jesus is using these moments to shape your heart to look more like His. Each time you choose love over hate, humility over pride, and faith over fear, you allow God's hand to mold you into a vessel that reflects His light. You may not see the change immediately, but over time, you will look back and realize how much you have grown. There are moments when God's shaping feels uncomfortable. Change often does. When He removes things from your life, habits, relationships, or plans you once held tightly, it can feel like loss. But God never removes without intention. He clears space to place something better, something healthier, something aligned with His will. Jesus never takes away to harm you, He takes away to heal you. Trust that if something is leaving your life, it is because it no longer serves the purpose God has for you. His hand knows exactly what to keep and what to let go. This morning, remember that you are not shaping yourself alone. You are not expected to carry the weight of becoming better, stronger, or holier by your own strength. Jesus is your helper, your teacher, and your source of strength. When you feel weak, His strength is made perfect. When you feel lost, His guidance becomes clearer. When you feel unworthy, His grace speaks louder than your doubts. God's hand is steady, even when your hands are shaking. He will not abandon His work halfway. What He has started in you, He is faithful to complete. As you step into this day, invite God's hand into every part of it. Into your work, your conversations, your decisions, and your thoughts. Let Him shape how you speak, how you listen, and how you respond. Ask Jesus to shape your vision so you can see beyond temporary problems and focus on eternal hope. Ask Him to shape your heart so it remains soft, teachable, and full of compassion. Ask Him to shape your faith so it stands firm, even when circumstances try to shake it. You may face challenges today that you did not expect. There may be moments of frustration, disappointment, or confusion. But do not forget this truth: nothing you encounter today is outside of God's control. His hand will not slip. His grip on you is secure. Even when the road feels uneven, He is guiding your steps with purpose. Trust Him in the small details as much as in the big ones. Trust Him when things make sense, and especially when they do not. This morning is not just the beginning of another day, it is another opportunity for God to shape you into who He created you to be. You are not an accident. You are not forgotten. You are deeply loved, intentionally formed, and carefully guided by the hands of a faithful God. Jesus is walking with you today, shaping your life with grace, patience, and unending love. Rest in this truth, move forward with confidence, and allow God's hand to continue its beautiful work within you. As this day continues to unfold, let your heart remain aware that God's hand is still shaping you, moment by moment, breath by breath. The work He is doing in you does not pause when the morning prayer ends or when daily routines begin. It continues in conversations you did not plan, in challenges you did not expect, and even in moments you might overlook. Jesus is present in the ordinary, turning simple moments into sacred ones. Every step you take today is being guided by His wisdom, even when you are unaware of it. Trust that nothing is random in God's design, and nothing about your life today is outside His loving care. There will be times today when your faith feels strong, and times when it feels fragile. In both, God's hand remains steady. Faith is not about feeling powerful all the time, it is about remaining connected to Jesus even when you feel weak. When doubts rise in your mind, remember that God is not offended by your questions. He is patient, kind, and willing to meet you where you are. His shaping often happens when you bring your doubts to Him instead of hiding them. In those honest moments, He strengthens your faith, not by force, but by love. God may be shaping your trust today. Trust grows when you choose to rely on Him despite uncertainty. You may not know how everything will work out, but you know the one who holds your future. Jesus invites you to place your worries into His hands, the same hands that were once pierced for your salvation. Those hands understand suffering, sacrifice, and love at the deepest level. When you surrender control and let Him lead, you allow God to shape your inner peace. Peace does not come from having all the answers, it comes from knowing you are held by God. Throughout this day, you may encounter people who challenge your patience or test your kindness. These moments are not interruptions, they are opportunities. God often uses relationships to shape us more deeply than solitude ever could. Through others, He teaches us humility, compassion, forgiveness, and grace. Jesus calls you to love not only when it is easy, but also when it is costly. Each time you choose to respond with gentleness instead of anger, understanding instead of judgment, you are allowing God's hand to shape your character in a powerful way. There may be moments today when you feel unseen or unappreciated. You may give your best and feel like no one notices. But God sees everything. He sees your effort, your faithfulness, and your quiet obedience. Nothing done with a sincere heart is ever wasted in God's kingdom. Jesus Himself lived a life where much of His obedience went unnoticed by the world, yet it was precious to the Father. Let this truth comfort you: even when people overlook you, God never does. His hand is shaping your humility and teaching you to find your worth in Him alone. Sometimes God shapes us through rest, not just action. If today brings moments of tiredness, do not see them as failure. Rest is part of God's design. Jesus often withdrew to quiet places to pray and renew His strength. When you rest in God's presence, you allow Him to restore your soul. In stillness, He speaks gently, healing places within you that constant activity can never reach. Trust that slowing down can be just as holy as moving forward. God may also be shaping your courage today. Courage does not mean the absence of fear, it means choosing faith in the presence of fear. You may be facing a decision that requires bravery, honesty, or a step of obedience. Know that God does not ask you to be courageous alone. His Spirit strengthens you from within. Jesus walks before you, preparing the way, and walks beside you, giving you strength. When you take steps of faith, even small ones, you grow into the person God is shaping you to be. As the day goes on, you might reflect on past mistakes or regrets. The enemy may try to remind you of who you used to be, but God is focused on who you are becoming. God's hand does not shape you based on your past failures, but on His future promises. Through Jesus, you are forgiven, renewed, and given a fresh start every day. Shame has no place in the hands of a loving God. Release your past into His care and allow Him to shape your future with hope. God is also shaping your purpose, even if it is not fully clear yet. Purpose is not always revealed all at once. Often, it unfolds gradually as you walk in obedience. Each small act of faith today is part of a larger story God is writing through your life. Jesus calls you to be faithful where you are, trusting that He will reveal more as you continue to walk with Him. You do not need to see the whole picture to trust the artist. As evening approaches and the day begins to settle, take time to reflect on where you sensed God's presence. It may have been in a moment of peace, a word of encouragement, or even a challenge that pushed you to pray. These are signs of God's shaping hand. Thank Him for His faithfulness, even in moments that were difficult. Gratitude opens your heart wider to God's work and allows you to see His blessings more clearly. Remember, God's shaping is not rushed. He is patient and gentle, working at a pace that brings lasting change. Jesus does not shape you to resemble the world, but to reflect His love, truth, and grace. Each day you spend in His presence adds depth, strength, and beauty to your faith. Even when progress feels slow, trust that God is doing more than you can see. As you prepare to rest, place your heart once again into God's hands. Surrender every unfinished task, every unanswered question, and every lingering worry. Trust that while you sleep, God remains awake, watching over you with care. His hand will continue shaping your tomorrow, just as it has today. You are safe, loved, and guided by a faithful Savior. Let this truth remain with you as the day ends. You are not alone, you are not forgotten, and you are not unfinished. God's hand is shaping you with purpose, patience, and perfect love. Through Jesus, your life is being formed into something beautiful, meaningful, and eternal. Rest in Him, trust Him, and allow His work in you to continue, one day at a time.